Hey everybody, this is Nate Soltvedt with Riesterer Schnell, your application product specialist. We're on today's Leap Forward podcast. I'm joined by Wyatt, our technology product specialist.
Yeah, hello everybody. Wyatt Davidson here, technology product specialist for Riesterer Schnell. I cover our southern locations at Westfield and Campbellsport, kind of doing a holistic solution with John Deere technologies. Today we're actually at Wiersma Farms in central Wisconsin, kind of going to be focusing on AutoPath application within the John Deere application market. So we're going to be kind of focusing on some of their hay machines today. People that are watching online will have some aerial footage to kind of tie into, but as we go through.
Yeah. So first off, Wyatt, what makes AutoPath different than your standard AB line with a planter that's just straight through the field?
Yeah, so AutoPath was a solution provided by John Deere in 2020 is when it was first released. And what we're doing is we're mounting an implement receiver on a source pass to document each individual row in the field. So it could be strip till unit coming into planting. Conventional tillage guys will put these implement receivers on their corn planters. And what we're doing is we're able to mark each individual row placement of that job, or that source pass, they would consider it. So then future passes in the field, today focusing on application, is we can run those consistent guidelines throughout this growing season here.
So you're saying that like we're actually following the implement, right? So if the implement had discrepancies going around curves and stuff, we're going to follow that exact.
Correct. Yeah, with your traditional AB line, we're looking at where the tractor's at, and then side hill, implement drift, whatever may cause some implement movement other than the tractor staying on line is not really documented for the future passes. Where AutoPath allows you to, it knows where that implement has shifted or drifted on side hills, is mapping that accurately. So then as we do follow in and get 3-4 passes in with the sprayer in the year, we're staying in that same consistent row mark of where that crop actually was placed rather than your traditional AB line that was segmented earlier in the spring.
Okay. So yeah, as you can see in the background, like these are nice fields. They're very big. They got great corn growing on them, but they have challenges, right? They have obstacles of some terraces, hills, and windmills. So I'm sure that really comes into play to be a useful tool for the farmer.
Correct, yeah. With the holistic solution of the AutoPath giving you that full field guidance lines, we're getting all your headland lines, depending on how you planted those around those waterways, if you got passable waterways and you're spraying through those, also along with your straight tracks. So instead of swapping between your ABs, your adapted curves, you pull into the field and you got that full holistic solution ready to go for the operator of that machine. So
awesome.
Saves on some of that efficiency in the cab there of getting into that field. And then the big thing is just kind of helps reduce crop damage by staying in the same pass throughout the whole growing season.
Okay, so like you're saying headlands, right? So, I know that's one thing that's a challenge for applicators is driving the headlands the first time around, and then you do your up and down passes, and maybe I go to a nook. How does AutoPath help that situation?
Yeah, so what we see, like you got a corner, you're saying you got a corner in the field you got to go get to, and you take that headland pass to get back in there, right? So traditionally, guys would just freehand that, and as that rear tire's following between, following leg and behind you, we see kind of taking those headland curves, you run over more crop than kind of expected, even though you've done a pass prior, right? That headland curvature with the AutoPath allows you to stay consistently throughout the growing season, coming back in year to year.
Right. I mean, that's a huge thing. I mean, when I was applicating or been with applicators, there's times where you can't avoid running crop down in a corner, right? But if you can always run over that same dead crop instead of maybe opening up and making it 4 rows wide now,
Yep.
That's going to be a benefit to the growers, and it's going to make your headlands look a lot better, right?
Correct. Yeah. And you were kind of talking on the topography of where we're at here today, and we actually worked with Wiersma Farms at the beginning of this year to map all their fields accurately. Okay. So with that, we're able to make sure we're not killing off waterways. With their exact apply solution on the Hagie here that you guys will see in the field on the video side, we're actually able to spray through those waterways. And some advances coming with some of the new software with AutoPath is we've always had, when you pick up the planter or you pick up your source pass, that's when your AutoPath like stops recording, and we have the ability to extend those lines. What's kind of a nice feature coming here with the new software on the Gen 5 monitors is going through those waterways, it's going to connect those lines together instead of keeping them two separate ones.
Awesome.
Where we've seen some lag in the background. Some good enhancements coming with AutoPath going through waterways scenarios there as well.
Yeah, so that grower today, maybe they're running a line, they get to that waterway, and they have to re-engage the line after, is what
Correct.
you're saying?
Yep, that would be the way today. But yeah, with that new software, it's going to use the logic and connect those lines, so that transition between the waterways is smoothest without any secondary needs. So building off of that, what's nice with the sprayers and the John Deere solution with the AutoPath is we actually get turn automation. So on 22 and newer John Deere sprayers, Hagies, floaters, we are able to tie in the AutoPath row data with your turn automation. So that turn automation system is we are able to set that up so your headland turn matches your AutoPath headland pass. So keeping that consistency throughout that whole field and multiple passes throughout the years, that really helps lock in the turns as well.
Okay. Tell me about between the planter and the sprayer, what is that user or the guy in the cab kind of experiencing as far as knowing what the line is going to look like, knowing maybe direction? What kind of like cues do they have maybe in the display? Do they get a direction thing, or how do they know how to use
some of the features that we'll show you in the video side of it here today is we can get that preview. So I can see the source pass of the planter or whatever the source operation was for the AutoPath road documentation. And I can see the source pass, I can see the direction of that source pass, and then I can even see the individual row placement applied from that source pass. And, kind of a neat scenario is like in replant. If you had to replant a field, you do get your two source data. So guys are always like, hey, if I got to go replant 5 acres or I got to go do the whole field, you will have multiple source documentation data is there as well. So making sure you're selecting the right one to be up to date is also crucial on that side of it. Kind of a nice feature released within the last year is you can actually preview all your AutoPath passes before you even get to the field on the John Deere Operations Center. So you could. And what's really nice with the AutoPath side of it is it's your planter and your sprayer width don't have to match up. So we have 2 different modes of action there. We can follow source pass, which you want to make sure in that scenario that your planter and your boom are evenly divisible by each other. Or we can do fuse passes. So if you are an operation with mixed implement widths, this would be a solution to help resolve any guest row, where do I turn into kind of issues there that we see.
Yeah, that really helps out.
Yeah.
How is it? I know with application, it's like more and more and more application passes are being made. How can a customer use AutoPath to their advantage with that?
Yeah, so as we start getting into 3, 4, 5 passes, and we're going to be doing some fungicide passes here today, showcasing you guys that live in cab and some drone footage of that on the YouTube side of things, is we're making sure that operator, whether it's the same operator or they're moving, they got to switch operators throughout the growing season, that the consistency is there throughout the year. And then we're tying that in with our satellite RTK signal to make sure that we get that repeatability as well. So that kind of ties like the differences of what we see traditionally. So we had traditional stuff would be like your AB guidance lines, your row sense feelers. Some guys are running the AutoTrack Vision camera system. And so we get a lot of questions on that, like what does AutoPath do versus those row traditional row
one of my questions.
Awesome. And what we see there is the row senses are almost kind of like a reactive system. So it's monitoring the crop right away and then providing that feedback. With the AutoPath, we already have established where we need to be, and we're getting kind of that proactive solution going into the crop. And then it's also when we get into 12-foot corn like we are here today, it's a solution that offers, from your first pass all the way to your fungicide pass,
Yeah.
where those sensors, usually your vision sensor, would stop working once we get to this level of canopy. And then if you did have any tilted rows, those row feelers could cause issues with any down crop scenarios through wind damage throughout the year. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely expect wind around here, as you can see with the windmills. So,
Yep.
tell me about that a little bit more. Like when this crop gets starting to blow and it's maybe the tassel's a couple of feet over from where the base of the plant is, how does the system work?
Yeah, so we're looking at so as the wind's blowing, it's tipping the tassels back and forth, and the tassels might look like they're a row over, right, from the wind. Well, we're not looking at where the tassels are. We're actually looking at pretty much where the roots are and where that stock is coming at from the ground.
Okay.
So it's the visual appearance might seem like you're off in those scenarios where other traditional guidance systems might not look, do the best job. We're able to actually know where that stock is coming from,
Yeah.
not where the projection of the wind is kind of leading us to.
Okay. Obviously, with our Hagee lineup, we have crop pushers, right? So even if that plant is tilting, we can kind of straighten it back up before our tires go through and, avoid running that down. So that really helps
Very
out.
true. Yes.
So,
yeah.
Cool. Tell me some other features that you see that the guys really enjoying with AutoPath on maybe application or even in other harvesting or some other passes.
Yeah, what we see with it, so AutoPath is a Generation 4 and a Generation 5 solution. And to run the AutoPath, you have the full unlocks of the monitor at that time, right? So we always try to encourage guys, like let's say we're coming into harvest here, and you're running the AutoPath on your combine. We always encourage guys to utilize the turn automation with their combine, and utilize machine sync with their grain cart. Maybe some grain weight sharing, harvest logistics side of it. So what's nice is you get, we try to make sure our growers that are running the system are using the full advantage of everything there.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Do you have any customer feedback from this year that you feel like is important for a viewer to understand and relate to, right? Like it's, you and I sell the product, we seem biased, but it's nice to know what the customers experience and the feedback they've given.
Yeah, I think the largest feedback we get, or like the most common one that I like to address, is like the simplicity of it. It seems like it's maybe above and beyond what it really is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so the system is just documenting the row data. It gets it in the ops center. And once you send that back out to your monitor, it's very easy for the operator to continue to use. So I think the simplicity of it is a little bit of an oversight of how easy it actually is to run.
Yeah.
And then how accurate it is. Not just in the field passes, but we see a lot of positive reviews in the headlands scenarios. And then just optimizing kind of your guess rows of where you need to turn into the field on passes, whether that's application or on the harvest side, I'm trying to make sure you get your field splits accurate there.
Yeah. I guess a feedback piece that I thought of too is one customer had told us this year that with AutoPath, they knew the grower had it. They got to the field and maybe a setup file didn't include that field, or it was planted later than the setup file was made. He didn't want to spray that field until he was able to get that setup file or the work plan.
Yeah.
Just because they felt like they were doing their customer maybe a disservice by not using it, and it worked so well that they wanted to have it.
Awesome. Yeah.
So another feedback piece I had just with running demos lately is customers are running up to 15 plus miles per hour in tassel corn. So pretty phenomenal to see that corn and that crop mass passing you by at 15 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And just being able to go that speed is awesome without having to hold the wheel and stress yourself out and be able to watch more of the machine, right?
Exactly. That keys on to kind of that operator fatigue that we see throughout the growing season. And especially if you're doing multiple passes in the same field, that's where you kind of get that redundancy, and you just kind of take that operator stress and just let the machine do its job, and it's going to perform really well.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I appreciate going through AutoPath and explaining. Any other any comments you want to make on AutoPath or other technologies?
Yeah, I guess I would say if anybody is interested in learning more about AutoPath, we got a great technology team at the Riesterer Schnell company across all of our locations there. So I'd always encourage somebody to look at how this solution can affect or benefit your operation. And there's a lot of improvements with the AutoPath over the last couple of years on how we can tie it in, just not into your traditional corn and grain. So
Mm-hmm.
looking at a whole bunch of different solutions from vegetable cropping to the dairy side of it with chopping all the way into your traditional corn and grain farmers here in Wisconsin. So I would always encourage anybody is interested in learning more about it. We see it to be a very, very good solution that's out there from John Deere.
You brought up a good point, not to drag this on, but you talked about dairy and just other types of growers. Is that grower able to transfer this to a custom applicator or a custom harvesting crew? Like, is that a process we can help them with?
Yeah. We work with plenty of growers and then custom operations here today of making sure that solution that they've tried to implement on their farm is getting utilized by the custom operators as well, and offering solutions to help make sure everything is very smooth there.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that concludes the talk on AutoPath. Thank you for listening to our Leap Forward podcast, and have a good day.
We're your John Deere dealer coming through for you, Riesterer and Schnell.